You know what I care about, Wharton boy? Turns. They teach you that at Wharton. I turn a store every 25 days and I pay my suppliers in 90. I turn a store 3.5 times before I have to pay for it, and that funds all my store openings. I heard this story from a friend, Phil Sugar, that's Wharton boy. He served on a board with a senior exec at Walmart who ran all the stores east of the Mississippi. So clearly somebody who knows a lot about retail and brands and finance. What I love about that story is that somebody who's managing all that complexity, thousands of stores, can distill down the core element into a couple of sentences. So why is inventory turn a hard concept for brand leaders? Or why do we lose sight of this in running our own businesses? I think one reason is like, it's Walmart, they beat up suppliers, they get better turns. I can't get to 9 turns a year, I get to 2, so it's easy to dismiss it. But I think the real reason that we lose focus on it as brand leaders is because cash flows are not intuitive. There's so many moving pieces to that. It's hard to keep it straight in our heads. The cycles overlap, and it's always presented in summary form. So that made me think, can I present this in a simplified, very simplified way that shows a particular cycle and the value of that cycle on generating cash? So this is my attempt to do that. So here we have some summary data about Walmart. I picked this up from the Elephant Herd Index. I encourage you to go check it out. And the numbers really aren't that important. What's important here is how the cash works. So what is the key is that I'm breaking basically their business down into sales, payment for inventory, and payment for operating expenses. So I'm ignoring everything else, which helps isolate these kind of 3 cycles. And then the other thing that I'm doing in this thought experiment is I'm saying everything is due in a single day. There's no spreading out over all the days. I know this is totally unrealistic, but if you're selling every 40 days, because that's what 9.1 is, then all the sales come in on day 40 or day 80 or day 120. You receive your inventory on day 0, day 40, so you're receiving your inventory at the same time. I know it's unrealistic, but it illustrates the point. And then your operating expenses, well, let's say you can't push your suppliers out on that. You got to pay people and everything. Let's say you're paying them every 30 days. So we have these 3 cycles running through the business, right? So what happens to the cash balance? Let's say that they start out with a 0 and it's a negative at first. Somehow they can finance it. So they start out because they had to pay their operating expenses with a negative cash balance, right? But then they get this huge influx of sales on day 40. So now they have this positive cash balance. It gets pulled down a little bit here in day 60 because of more operating expenses. They get another big chunk of cash because they make more sales, so their cash balance goes way up. And then finally on day 90, they pay for their inventory. So they have, call it 16 million. They're paying their operating expenses. Now they're paying for everything, and their cash balance drops again. But then it gets rebuilt. And you can see as they run through this cycle how the cash balance keeps getting refreshed in advance of having to pay for this inventory. So the value of being able to extend out those payment terms. And I'm not assuming any growth. I'm just assuming this business is running flat. So I hope that kind of illustrates the value of being able to increase inventory turns, the impact that has on your cash balance. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts. This is Ben Trigo from Elephant Herd Consulting. If you're struggling with cash or cash flow, reach out. We focus on helping brands fix their finances quickly to increase profits, increase cash, and get back to growth.